Having the right people in your corner for life's biggest milestones makes all the difference. Like a friend who's there when you're house hunting or checking out a new ride, State Farm is there too, helping you choose the coverage you need. With a State Farm agent, you know someone is there to help you along the way. And with so many coverage options, it's nice knowing you have help choosing a plan that fits your needs, so you can continue celebrating all of life's milestones. Like a good neighbor, State Farm is there.
Now more than ever, Lowe's knows you don't just want a low price, you want the lowest price. And with our lowest price guarantee, you can count on us for competitive prices on all your home improvement projects. If you find a qualifying lower price somewhere else on the same item, we'll match it. Lowe's, we help, you save. Price match applies to same item, current price at qualifying retailers. Exclusions and terms apply. Learn how we'll match price at lowes.com/lowest price guarantee.
Hey there, fictional friends, and welcome to another episode of Fully Booked. I'm Megan.
And I'm Shireen.
I'm Arthur.
And it is a little... Oh my gosh. We barely started.
You're still here.
Everybody should be able to feel the animosity at this point. These two shit-talk each other as soon as the other one's not on the episode as well.
We're actually nice to each other on the episode.
Yeah, it's outside of there.
We're
that
forced to be.
I like to think of myself as the neutral party in all of this.
We should get rid of her.
Excuse me, I was here first.
I'm the heart and soul of this entire operation. Thank you very much. So yeah, good luck to you. Oh God. I don't know if anybody's noticed, but it's a bonus episode today. We're just coming at you right at the beginning of the week, which is not something that we normally do. But we hopped on because if we had to watch this entire thing, I don't see why we can't at least talk about it for an episode. So
we have to.
Yeah,
it has to be spoken
I completely agree. Yeah, so
we have to get it out of our system
Yes.
so we can
Yeah.
just forget about it and move on.
Yeah.
and then never think about it again.
That's it. That's
which is
it.
fine.
Exactly.
Pretend that it doesn't exist in the series.
Exactly.
So I know we had mentioned, so last week Arthur and I took sort of a re-watch, or did like a revisit of the original Fear Street trilogy that came out in 2021. That actually originally, when we did the original watch through of it, we did all of it together.
Yeah.
When
Yeah,
we
we did.
originally watched the series, and we had so much fun with it, and all we did last
was
week
so
was kind
good.
of sing its praises.
It was
really,
so
great.
good.
because we loved it. It was super
We were
fun.
like hoping there's going to be like a whole Fear Street universe,
Yeah,
and
like-
they're going to do a bunch of books. And
I mean, like, look, like, I'm not a horror buff. The
No.
two of you are, but I like a good slasher movie.
Sure, yeah.
And, like, these three, the original three
Yes.
Fear Street, were so good.
So fun.
And so fun, so well put together.
Agreed.
Acting was great.
Story was
The
tied in
story was
together.
tight.
Yeah,
it
yeah,
was
it was
so
great.
good.
Everything tied together, which I
everything
really
tied together.
appreciated,
Each
yeah.
movie was still its own entity somehow.
They had like a different style to them,
Yeah.
and even with, we were talking about this last week, Eve, I don't know if you agree, even with actors repeated in different ones as different characters, you were still like, no, I'm okay with it.
It was great.
Yeah.
It was great. It was
Yeah.
like an like a mini anthology
Yeah, it was
almost.
fun. It felt
was
like
so
a mini
great.
series, kind
So
of.
it
fun.
basically was.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This was a few summers ago when it came out. wasn't it?
2021, summer of 2021, so it was a while back. So
it was great.
So yeah.
So we were very excited about this one.
Exactly. And then when they had announced that they were actually going to be continuing with the series, I think originally my hope had been that the original writer-director Leigh Janiak, who she had written and directed the original trilogy in 2021, my hope had kind of been that maybe she was going to come back
But she
and do
didn't.
more, just because these were really tight.
Yeah.
That explains.
I
it.
know, right? I was going to say that, like,
But
ça
this-
paraît, you
yeah,
know, it's,
yeah, it shows.
So
it
obvious.
shows.
But unfortunately, that wasn't the case in this particular case. It was handed over to another creative team, also still through Netflix, obviously. And now I'm not here to shit all over the entire creative team. So much stuff happens in production in terms of like writing and the producers and the studio and like everything that can happen and like all the post-production work. Yeah, all of that stuff. So, so when it was announced that they were going to be continuing sort of in the universe, at least, of Fear Street, I think we were pretty pumped. And
I was super pumped.
Yeah, and in this particular case, they were doing something a little bit different than what we got with the original trilogy because they were coming to us with an actual straight adaptation Of one of the
Of an
Fear
actual
Street
book, yeah,
novels.
exactly.
Yeah.
So the Fear Street novel by R.L. Stine that's titled The Prom Queen was published in 1992. It's, I think, the 15th book in the Fear Street series.
shit.
He
There
wrote
are
a lot.
50 entries.
Yeah, there's
No.
50 something.
Yes,
Yeah,
ma'am.
there's a lot.
50?
And apparently that one was one of the most popular ones.
Yeah, it's a really popular one.
Back in the days, yeah, it was.
It's a really popular one, yeah.
I'm gonna get it in the 90s.
Yeah, that's it exactly.
Checks out.
Like a fun like prom slasher kind of thing. So, so when they had announced that, I was like, okay, that's interesting that we're even taking it in a different direction. But I guess we were kind of wondering last week like what it would look like in terms of the tie-ins. And the answer is not much, man. Like there's not much to tie into anything. There's
post-credit
mention.
scene.
Yeah, there's mention of like 2 or 3 things.
There was that thing in the bathroom written Sarah Fier Lives.
Correct.
Yeah,
There was
that's it
a
in the beginning
flash
and-
of, Shadyside sucks, and we're getting flashes of all the old killers and stuff
Yeah,
from
yeah.
previous things.
But that was just to
already
kind of
been-
set the story of because it
Agreed.
is happening in the same place,
Yeah.
right?
And
So-
there's a mid-credit scene that kind of gives you like a little tie-in to stuff to do with the curse of, Sarah Fier and all of that stuff. But I think also, I think anyway, that it kind of shows that people are feeling some type of way about this because as far as I was aware, that's that the original trilogy was quite well liked
Yes.
overall by people. Meanwhile, Fear Street Prom Queen, at the time that we're recording this, which is barely 2 days after it was released on Netflix, has a 5.2 out of 10 on IMDb and 30% on Rotten Tomatoes.
Audience score 30%?
31. So,
Yeah,
and
that's not great.
no,
I would
That
give
is
it the same.
Yeah, that's kind of
Yeah.
how we
Yeah.
also feel about it.
Yeah,
So-
we were like super pumped, and like I went into this being just kind of like I don't really know what this is about, but it's got Fear Street slapped on it, so I'm here for
so
it.
I
You
liked
know,
it because I like the other ones, so why not, right?
And I was bored.
Very much. I think that's kind of what it was too. Is that it wasn't like B, C level terrible, but it was just not interesting enough to warrant any kind of real reaction.
Yeah, so like I was watching it and because I got out of it because it was like, kind of mid in general, it popped in my head that if this movie, the way that it was released somewhere in the 80s, late 80s, 90s, it would have been killer.
True.
But because it is 2025, it just doesn't hit the same.
It just feels generic.
There's
It's
nothing-
quite-
Been done.
Yes.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Like it's been done a bunch of times. It's generic. There's nothing special about it.
No.
There's no like twist or anything like that.
No.
We halfway through the like movie we were guessing because there's supposed to be a bunch of killers. Like this is
Right.
known. There's a bunch
Yeah.
of red herrings. We're all guessing and we've basically found who the killer was
Well,
within
between
like
I
us,
think we
30
had guessed
minutes.
at least one by halfway through,
Yeah,
and then
yeah.
by 2/3 of the way through, we guessed the second one.
Right.
And
That's it,
it turns
yeah.
out we were correct. We won't
So-
give too many spoilers or anything about stuff. It's just, set in 1988. So in the timeline of Fear Street, it falls between the 1978, which is part 2 of the original trilogy, that is the like summer camp slasher, the Nightwing killer there, and
That was a great movie.
Yeah,
That was a
It was, I
great
think, the best one out of the old
It's so
3
fun.
I
ones.
like the 1666
Oh,
one.
okay.
I think the third one wound up being my favorite because
The 90 one?
because it comes back to
Yeah.
1994 and
Oh,
then
right, 'cause
ties
it's like a
everything
two-parter
together.
thing,
Yeah.
Yeah.
So between 1978 and the 1994, which is part 1 of the original trilogy
Yes, it's
as well,
in
which kind
between
of
the
sets
prom.
the stage. So it's
Yeah.
between both of those things. And there's like very vague mention. There's one line at the end of the massacre that happens on this prom night in which one cop says to the other, "Oh, it's worse than 78."
Right, yes.
And that's all
that's
you
it,
get.
That's it, yeah.
That's all you get. Is so they were talking about the Camp Nightwing massacre or whatever
Hmm.
it is.
And to be fair, it's not like we expected it to be intertwined.
No, because
in
again,
the
like
No.
story.
different filmmakers,
We understood that.
direct adaptation
Yeah.
is going to be different.
But my beef with this is and these two know this.
Yeah.
When I watch horror movies, even if it's a slasher that I enjoy, I basically stick my head in the popcorn bucket the whole time.
Yeah,
And for this one, I was just like,
you don't even need to.
Yeah.
I wasn't
yeah.
even like flinching. I was like,
There
like,
were-
whatever.
It wasn't that bad. Like, and we all said that like the CG was visibly bad,
yeah.
and that really took you out of it. and-
Unfortunately, that was I think a big gripe that I had. I don't know how much practical work was done in terms of like makeup and effects and all that kind of stuff,
Yeah.
but it looked like whatever they did was overly overlaid with CG enhancements, but
looked
in
plastic.
a way that looked
That's just what it
weird.
was, yeah.
Oh, it looked weird. It looked really janky. It did not look good at all. And God knows,
and like the kills were also so. Like if I'm
Yeah.
talking about the first one, the initial 1994, some of the kills there were amazing.
Yeah.
So well done and everything.
It's that bread slicer.
The bread slicer scene, even the one at the beginning and everything, like the kills were so much better.
That opening kill, which is definitely a reference to Scream, like all that.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
That one was great with Maya Hawke.
Maya Hawke, exactly.
That one was great.
See, that was so much better as a setup opening kind of thing. In this one, what they do is that you have your setup, and then the first person who's killed is again one of the slightly quote unquote more well known actors in the film. It's Ariana Greenblatt, who has been in Barbie, Borderlands, and she's obviously up and coming. She's doing a lot of stuff right now.
I think she's in Now You See Me 3.
Yeah, or
supposed
she
to be
will
this
be.
year.
Yeah,
that's it. Yeah.
She is
such a wasted opportunity with those movie titles.
The what?
Now You See Me, Now You Don't.
Now You Don't.
They're just going, Now You See Me, Now You See Me 2, Now You See Me 3. It's like really,
it's kind of boring.
yeah.
Close your eyes.
No, you're right.
Don't see anyone.
Stop seeing me.
Stop looking at me.
Don't look at me.
Don't look at me. Then we don't have to do a fourth one.
Oh God, for real. How many more tricks can we possibly have at this point? Anyway. Oh God.
What are we talking about?
So I think
Who are you?
Why are you in my house?
Why are you in my house?
I think
My landlord. Oh my God.
Oh, jeez.
Oh Jesus. Okay, so I think with that in mind, though, when you watch 1994, Maya Hawke's character actually is you care at least a little bit in the first couple of scenes just because of decent writing more than anything. Whereas when you do with this one, Ariana Greenblatt's character does nothing except as I'm a weed dealer, whatever. That's her personality.
She basically
trait.
just plays the same person that she was in Barbie.
She's just cranky.
Yeah.
And she barely does anything. And then she dies in a very boring sort of way. And you're kind of like, okay, so
it was nothing.
and that really set the tone for the rest of the movie.
Kinda.
This movie reminded me of that other one that came out. Oh my God.
Oh dear.
It was a slasher movie where the girl accidentally goes back in time.
Oh, Time Cut.
That's
it.
The
bad one.
The bad one.
Yes. There were a few of those in the last 2 years or so, and there was the other one, Totally Killer, which was more
that one was
fun.
good.
That was fun.
That one was fun.
good.
I could appreciate that
I had
one
no
just for
expectations for that one.
Yes, and I turned out I was like, oh, this is not bad. It was a fun time.
But Time Cut sucked.
Oh, it was terrible.
And this one reminded me of that.
I get you. Also, both Netflix.
But they were just boring.
They were. I agree.
Nothing happened
It was
in the
just
story.
It was just nothing special, right?
Not
you
at
said
all.
it was generic. It was
No, we were watching it, and within kind of no time of the movie, we got to the prom night, and I'm like, oh wow, so the whole movie's at prom.
and it was the whole movie in the prom. So
3/4 of the film takes place on prom night, and eventually, because that's it. The characters weren't written all that interestingly, particularly. There's not much that the younger cast can really do with them.
Yeah.
So I don't really fault any one particular person. It's just sort of like a combination, I think, of multiple factors. But I really feel I can't help but just feel like they were given kind of nothing to work with.
No, it was it was the writing and everything. And then when we found out that there's two killers, we're kind of like, oh. Okay.
And again,
kind of
we
half
live in a
expecting that, right?
post-Scream world.
Exactly, that's
It's
it.
really hard to hard to surprise people.
Yeah, but you
with
see that's what I'm saying. If this movie was released in the 1990s, literally 1990, it would have been a hit.
100%. That's what I'm saying. The book itself, if you're saying that was popular, I believe it.
1992.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
but it was just not adapted for the current expectations, I guess.
Not at all.
And the other thing is when those other Fear Street movies came out, they were new. It was something very different.
Correct.
And it was also not a straight adaptation of the books, right? They kind
not.
of gathered stories and everything together.
They kind of adapted it to the time a little bit.
Yeah. And it was good in the way that it was just intelligent in the way that the tie-ins were written and stuff like that.
Yeah. Well, the director or the story writer,
Leigh Janiak.
Leigh Janiak, she worked 2 years on the script to make it work. So the work shows, right?
Yes,
and
correct.
it was also 2021, we'd had Stranger Things, we'd had It, we'd had all the kind of an accumulation of
and
things.
that fun fact is that tie-in is that actually Leigh Janiak, I don't know if she still is, but at least at the time that these films, the original trilogy was made, she was or is married to I forget if it's Matt or Ross Duffer of the Duffer Brothers of Stranger Things fame.
Oh, well, there you go. So it kind of had that vibe to it, not directly, but we were kind of in that. We were all in that headspace, and that was slightly different. The Fear Street, and then this one, it was just kind of Okay, like it's just a straightforward slasher movie, and
Very much.
the twists. There were none. I didn't feel like
No.
there were any twists.
No.
Maybe at the end you were kind of like, oh,
And
I wasn't
But
even
that was about
rooting
it.
for the main girl.
me neither. I didn't really
right,
care that much.
yeah.
And I feel like in the original trilogy, you feel the vibe, like I don't know how to describe it, the atmosphere of Shadyside as a town
Yes.
and
Yeah.
how they
Yes.
suffer and what these people go through and deal with. Where like I didn't feel like I was in the Shadyside universe at all.
I could have just been elsewhere. It could have been like any kind
other
of crazy
slasher
school.
film, and you could
Yeah.
have slapped any other name on it.
That's
I
right.
would've
It
been,
didn't really matter where the setting was for this movie. Like there was that one scene with the guy who had his sweater around his neck.
Oh yeah, who's
And-
from Sunnyvale?
Right.
Yeah.
And that was it. That was the only callback to it.
That's it. There are only like a couple of little things here or there that you're like, oh, okay, yeah, that's supposed to be this, or we're in the universe because we say we're in the universe, but I don't feel like I am the way that I did initially when I watched those first 3 films.
No, we were watching it, and my mom was perched on the side there watching, and like she doesn't really love this type of movie to begin with, and she sat there like happily for a little while, and then she was like, "This just is kind of like Carrie. I'm gonna go do something else."
Yeah,
and she bounced, and I was like, "Yeah, can I bounce?"
Yeah, it's just, and it doesn't even have the payoff of telekinetic powers.
No,
Yeah, that's
or
it.
like a good.
Well, again,
like,
that's it. There was
"Oh,
nothing
happy."
special about it, right? That's the
No.
thing. It's
There was nothing unique.
nothing unique.
No, I mean like the main girl's friend makes a head and puts it in the punch bowl.
Sure, but we've also had quote unquote weird prankster characters
Yeah.
in other types
Yeah.
of movies
That's
like
true.
this, right?
Yeah.
Not that I'm not saying that, that's not like kind of unique in its own way. Fine, it's a female character, all that kind of stuff, sure. But those are also things that we've seen before, like from a horror perspective in general. And you always have like your quote unquote weird character who's friends with the main character. Like
Yeah,
if you
that
watch
everyone says
Scream-
like, oh, she's definitely a
like when
killer.
you
She's gonna
watch
go off the
Scream and
hinges.
it's like, you watch Scream and you have Randy.
Yes.
And if you're looking at even the ones where it's like, at the beginning, this friend she does, her name's Megan. She does
she loves horror.
a fake little dismemberment, blah, 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 whatever. That's just the beginning of Ginger Snaps, guys. Like the 2 sisters in Ginger Snaps are constantly staging quote unquote fake deaths for their parents to come home to and stuff
Right,
for
right.
fun because they think that this is
Terrible
funny.
children. As a mother right now,
it's-
my God.
It's a great film. It's a really good metaphor for like puberty and stuff. Anyway, and this one just, I think, again, because so much of the stuff exists, and we're talking about other properties that are, 20, 30 years old at this point, you're just kind of like, okay, well, it's here also.
I think like now that you've mentioned that there were 50 of these books in the series,
Yes.
and like this was one of the more popular ones, and it was published in 92.
92, yeah.
Yeah, like going back into my headspace of like way back when I used to read the Goosebumps books.
Yeah.
Like they weren't like, groundbreaking in terms of the characters. Like they were just fun little like stories
And it was
that you would
the-
read, And I kind of feel like that's what this was.
Sort of. And I mean, also, but
Yeah, like
also,
low stakes type of
Very
thing.
low
right?
stakes.
nothing-
Like it was kind of like a whatever, like a story that you'd read really quickly on like a summer break.
Which, to be fair, like all the books are very short. But even like, I mean, I guess the thing for me that I find I go back to with Goosebumps and maybe why it's maintained so much popularity is that R.L. Stine has a gift for coming up with really interesting uses for scares and haunting and stuff, whether it's a dummy or a camera or a mask or something, and things that like, especially for younger kids, stuff
teacher
that
who's
they'll
a big bug.
yeah, like things that they'll be specifically like eked out by, basically. And I feel like with Fear Street, you definitely lean a little bit more onto like the maybe more like slasher side of things, because we've got teenagers. Maybe the stakes are a little bit higher because they're actually dying. Most of the kids in Goosebumps don't die. But in some cases, again, with the early entries into the series, I can see maybe it coming off as now a little bit more generic to an extent. I do know that the Fear Street, because there are so many of them, I know that in Fear Street at some point, like, they go back in time and they have like different entries that take place, that's it, like, hundreds of years prior and all that stuff. So like there's a lot of things that do tie in to an extent, and probably some of those other ones are more interesting to a degree as well.
I'd be curious. I want to like go through like the catalog of Fear
Read
Street
kind of
just
what some
out
of
of
them are about.
curiosity.
Yeah.
Yeah. But again, like just knowing R.L. Stine's writing, I just feel like it's just kind of like little like just a little chapter in the Fear Street like storyline, you
Yeah,
know,
you're
and like,
just
oh, that was fun, and then we move on to the next one.
Yeah.
And it's like, would you really make a full-blown movie out of that?
Well, that's it. So maybe that's part of the issue as well.
Right, because like the other one, it took a lot of books together, tied and made it a whole new different story.
Yeah.
Now this is really one for one. Maybe that was kind of like
part of the
you
issue
know,
as
exactly.
well. No, it's true. That could be some of it. I don't know.
would
Anyway,
have worked in the 90s.
yes.
Yeah.
Just now is meh.
Yeah.
Very.
Is there something that you've liked about the movie?
I mean, I feel like some of the jokes were not bad. Like there were some aspects of it that were like decent. You know, a couple of little things here and there. A couple of the characters were all right. But honestly, like
some of the writing on the characters
some
was
of the writing
good.
for some of the characters was
good.
The
music was good.
The music was good. The
Banging
the
soundtrack.
costumes were fun and stuff like that.
Madonna, though.
No, I know. The music was good. The costumes were fun, like those types of things. Yeah, there were a couple of other like little side characters who were kind of fun for a minute here or there. But yeah, I don't know. It was just sort of very middle of the road. So a lot of it, we finished it, and I'm already forgetting a lot of like little bits and bobs about it.
Right.
It just felt really rushed, and
Yeah.
I think that's why we're forgetting. Like because with the first 3 Fear Street
Yeah.
movies, it felt like we had enough time to like chew on a lot of the story and like really like get immersed in the whole world
Yes.
and like understand what was going on. With this one, it was like, okay, well, this girl, like it took me so long to actually wrap my head around who the main girl was and like what.
You're like, all right,
Right,
so which
right,
one's
right,
the main
right.
character? What's
and
the
like,
issue? Yeah.
there were so many characters thrown in
Yeah.
at the beginning that I'm like, who's that?
And then there's also like, you know, backstory thrown in there for dramatic purposes of being like, oh, well, allegedly your mom killed your dad back in the day because he left her while she was pregnant and blah, 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 blah. But then she was never convicted for it. And here you go. Here's your sad, tragic backstory for your main character. And you're like, I mean, I guess.
And like the story compared to the previous 3 movies
Yeah.
was just so much smaller in the sense of like,
true. Yeah.
here it was, you gotta win Prom Queen. Whereas the other one is like, we will solve the curse of this whole town that's
entire
been there
town.
since
We're gonna
400
save
years, you know?
everyone. Yeah.
Again, the stakes
like,
feel
low
higher.
stakes.
Exactly,
Yeah,
that's
the
it.
stakes feel
Yeah.
very high, yeah.
But again, like if it was like the way that they were presenting it was she really wanted to win Prom Queen because it would show them that she wasn't a killer's daughter.
And because
like,
things will
I was
change.
trying to wrap around,
Yeah, 'cause, like,
wrap my head
somehow-
around like the logic behind
Well, and
it.
it's
you know?
not. It's like really, it's weird. Like even for like the age that you'd be going to prom, it doesn't even make sense. Like it would be really weird, like 11-year-old kid logic of like this will solve my problems. When like what? Like
Yeah.
nothing. That doesn't make any sense at all. So
Well, she'd be a lot older than 11.
Yeah,
that's
no.
but that's what I mean.
Yeah.
Like it's like it feels like something that would be the thought process of a younger person almost
Yeah.
than this
Oh, I
character
see what
is,
you mean,
right?
right.
Because
Yeah,
she's
yeah.
like, you know, sort of like this will solve my ostracization in this town, and you're like, what?
Yeah. And even like the inevitable like conflict between her and her friend lasted like all of what, 20
2
seconds?
seconds.
Yeah.
That's it. They just never like delivered on some of the additional characters that maybe could have been utilized more. I don't know.
But then again, would you have wanted it to be longer?
Not longer necessarily, just maybe better.
Yeah, they would have had to make it deeper.
They would
I
have
don't
had
know,
to have
something
done,
about
yeah.
it.
Or again, they would have had to have started like maybe a new trilogy and tied it into something else. So at
Yes.
least you would have a through line that you could follow into another chapter after this. I
Yeah.
don't know. Yeah. Anyway, obviously you can tell we were not big fans.
I think we all got bored halfway
We
through.
did.
Like Megan started sending us memes. I was like, wow.
Yeah. You
I
know
was like,
I'm
oh,
bored.
okay, I'm not the only one.
Yeah, no, I think we were all kind of steadily like, all right, well, this is getting terrible now. So, yeah. So anyway, oh well, we're here. We watched it, and so if you feel like it, sure, go ahead, put it on in the background, but like, don't feel like you have to force yourself.
Yeah.
But if you did like it,
I mean, yeah, sure. Maybe, hey, like, you know what? It could be just be like an easy, fun time for you. It could be easy gateway horror for people who are maybe just starting to get into some stuff
Yeah.
because it's not like crazy over the top. So,
I can attest to that. You know,
Yeah.
if you're not really into horror, but you're kind of wanting to dabble in it, slasher flicks are a great one.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
can do this one. You can do the time cut thing.
oh yeah, sure.
And the, what was the other one?
Totally Killer.
Totally Killer.
Totally Killer's a little higher tier in my opinion between
Yeah.
all of those.
But
Yeah.
I think that those three, you can, yeah.
If you're just kind of getting into stuff, sure,
Yeah.
yeah. And then like, you know, that's it. Like check out Scream and like those kinds of things
Oh,
that
yeah.
are gonna
Scream
Classics.
is
yeah,
awesome.
because those are like classics and you know they hold up in the best way possible. So
We should rewatch Scream.
we'll add it to the docket, shall we?
Urban story.
Urban legends.
Urban
is
legends.
what you're thinking of.
That's the next one.
Urban stories.
What's the next one?
Urban legends.
What about it?
I need to see it.
How do we watch?
We need to watch it.
What? I
I don't
haven't
think
seen
it's
that.
no, she hasn't
the one
seen
in
it.
on the college campus?
No.
Oh, okay.
Oh, did we start watching it?
I don't know. Jared Leto's in it.
No, I have not watched this one.
Okay, we'll watch it.
Yeah.
It's it's one of the it's another one.
We
that
had the
followed
choice
Scream.
between that one and I Know What You Did Last Summer, and we chose
Oh,
I Know What You Did
last
Last Summer.
last
okay,
summer.
okay,
That's
that's
it.
why.
Okay, so yes, we haven't watched Urban Legend yet, so that'll be on the
I thought
list.
you meant like that's like our theme for next month. I'm like, no,
No,
it's not.
Anyway, yeah, okay. Well, so we'll have one more episode coming to you before the end of the month, and then we're gonna switch things up and hop back onto a bit of an actual theme bandwagon, at least for the month of June, and figure out what we're doing with the rest of the summer, what that will look like for us. Anyway, in the meantime, obviously, as usual, you can check out everything that we have going on over on the website at fullybooked.ca. Follow us on all of our social media, so Instagram, TikTok, Threads, Blue Sky. Just search for fullybooked.ca and you will find us there. But until next week, guys, keep on reading.
Thanks, everyone.
Ciao, guys.